Hi, it's Miss Becca, and
Hi, I'm Danielle.
and we are dressed up like our favorite New England characters here because it is Halloween tomorrow. And this is our first ever episode of Hey, Miss Becca. Thanks,
Sure is.
thanks for joining me today,
Yeah,
Miss Danielle.
thanks for having me. Very excited.
So we've been getting some interesting questions from parents. And when I read the question from today, I immediately thought, I need to ask Miss Danielle about this. So Danielle is a speech language pathologist, and she is our in-house social cognition expert, guru, all things social, right? So when I need help, I go to her. Let me read you the question.
Yeah, I'm interested.
Okay. So this question comes from the parent of a middle school girl.
Great.
Okay. Your jam, right?
Yep. Love those teens.
Here's the question. My daughter has a friend who we'll call Betty, who is very possessive, and it's causing challenges. My daughter, who we'll call Kate, feels like she is trapped by Betty, who's always announcing their best friends and not accepting when Kate says she has plans with someone else. Okay. So this parent says, I always teach my children to be inclusive, and I understand Kate's need for some space too. The tricky part for us is that our families are very close friends, and my husband and I are best friends with Betty's parents. That is tricky. So they have been struggling. Betty's parents have been struggling because she has some different needs, and I don't want my Kate to be unkind to her. Right. But I also want to make sure that her needs are met while preserving the friendship.
Right.
Ooh, this sounds a little bit tricky.
Yeah, this is complicated on a lot of different levels because I feel like you have not only, middle school relationship dynamics at play, which are still developing, in addition to this, this family's closeness with this other family. So,
my question is like, we have these different needs going on here. We have these different perspectives going on here. And I want to be able to give this parent a way to feel empowered to support her child, like to really prioritize her child's autonomy and like, how do we get her to understand her boundaries and be able to express those boundaries without sacrificing the relationship, whatever level it's at?
Yeah, because I feel like it would be, kind of an easy way would be almost that route of, okay, this is what you need to do. When we go to so-and-so's house, you need to do this. But what that teaches is to ignore your own intuition and your own, your own needs in that moment. So this sounds like a perfect opportunity to explore some perspective taking and some self-advocating in a way that doesn't have to be, we can cut this out.
There it is.
In a way that doesn't have to be mean.
Right.
But it can still be assertive. So, kind of what's immediately popping to my head is you have these two different perspectives at play. I would be interested to just have an open conversation with both girls separately.
Of course.
How do you think so-and-so, how do you think Betty's feeling? How do you think Kate's feeling about this relationship? And just see what they say, because I think that's going to tell a lot about their relationship already. It sounds like one of them is really viewing this person as like a best friend. The other one,
that's Betty, right? Betty is saying, Kate, you're my best friend, and being possessive over her, like not letting her have other friends. Or
Right, exactly. And Kate's like, whoa, pump the brakes. This is a lot. And probably feeling some pressure of like, we need to be nice to them. They're our friends, So I would be interested in exploring those perspectives first, just to make sure that they're clear. I really like to use something visual as much as possible, because when we think about relationships, they're so subjective, right? And it can be hard. It's like, but I have this strong feeling for someone. Of course, they're my best friend. And we can have differences in opinion. So this is a resource that I created because working with teens and young adults, there's a lot of relationship dynamics at play that they're going through. So finding a way to make the abstract more concrete. So using something like this, and I can share a link.
What is this called, Danielle? This is called
Mount Relationship.
Mount Relationship.
Very creative.
Love this resource.
So, I'll share a link for this as well if anyone wants to use it. But, kind of demonstrating that our relationships take a different path. This is made for teens and young adults. So there's also a dating path you can go to, which is helpful for when people are at that point. But, what I would do is also, there are some definitions at play of, all right, so if you have a potential friend, it's like someone that you're like choosing to hang out with outside of one setting. It sounds like to me, Kate would not be choosing to hang out with Betty.
Maybe not. Yeah.
If it weren't for their families getting together.
Right. So like where would that fall on Mount Relationship?
Yeah. So this would be kind of somewhere around like this acquaintance level potential friend, but more acquaintance, because acquaintance is someone that we know, we see in one setting, we have some common interests, but we're not actively pursuing a relationship. So it's like you guys might be both at the trailhead, but you might not actively be picking the same path to travel together. So having something like this could be really helpful just to show, to determine for both girls where they're at. And then, facilitating a conversation. I think middle school is the start of that age where they can start to have some of this independently. Mm-hmm. I always recommend previewing if you can, just to give people some practice, because, it's easy when there's no emotion involved. You're not looking at someone's face as they're like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
But having this practice to be like, hey, like, I enjoy when we are playing Uno at our family game night, but I feel uncomfortable when we hang out outside. I think that we're really more acquaintances, and that's how I feel the most comfortable.
So for Kate's parent who asked this question, mm-hmm. something tangible that she can do to mm-hmm. help Kate, because she might not be able to help Betty,
right,
is to sit with Kate, and whether they use a visual or not, mm-hmm. try to understand Kate's mm-hmm. perspective yes. of where the relationship is. But then also to try to understand that Betty might have a different perspective of where the relationship is.
Exactly.
And then I hear you saying like we should preview with Kate mm-hmm. something she could say, like practicing like how to voice what her boundary is, right. or like how to voice what her expectation yes. is. Mm-hmm. And how would you do that in a way that's not offensive to right. Betty, like right. without blaming Betty, like you're right. too clingy, Betty.
Exactly. I mean, the classic language for that is I statements, right? Really focusing on the I feel versus you are doing this, because it takes away from it being someone else's fault, and it more puts it on you as the individual of I'm just communicating how I feel. Mm-hmm. It's demonstrating that there's a difference in perspectives. It's not everyone's experience is this. This is my experience. Mm-hmm. So using that I language being like I feel can be really powerful. Of like I feel frustrated when blah, 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 blah. I really enjoy when blah, blah, blah. And I think that there are probably things that they enjoy doing together.
Yeah.
They have a history. Their families have a history. So right. really emphasizing like add some positives. Hey, I really enjoy when we play Uno, or I really enjoy when we play, I don't know, this video game together when our families are together. I want to keep doing more of that. Mm-hmm. I don't feel as comfortable hanging out outside of when our families are together. So I'd like for us to prioritize our time with our families. Mm. Right? It's a hard conversation. And there's no guarantee that this will just be, Betty will be like, great, sounds good. Let's just be acquaintances, because we're humans. There's emotion involved. But being clear and understanding the perspectives of someone else is step one.
I'm trying to think back to when I was in middle school and all this girl drama was going on, right? Mm-hmm. And I think it's so important, too, to just establish that you're allowed to have feelings.
Yes.
Right? Because conversations like this will bring up feelings mm-hmm. for people, mm-hmm. right? And I think, our job as their parents and mm-hmm. the people who are going to be helping mm-hmm. The middle schoolers to kind of co-regulate, it's our job to validate that feeling, mm-hmm. acknowledge that feeling. And we can still have this hard conversation
right.
and also have feelings about it.
Absolutely. And I think that, so something I like to consider when I'm explaining my role, especially for teens and young adults, is almost not so much fortune teller, but future seer.
Okay.
And I like to say, here's the deal. I have a lot of experience, so I'm going to do the future thinking for you and paint out some possible paths of how this conversation might go. If we were to take a very compliance-based approach, it would be, you need to say you're sorry, you need to hang out with this person. But empowering that autonomy piece, I might say, hey, if you have this conversation, there might be some tough feelings. How do you think you might feel after that? Doing that future thinking to be like, okay, this is what this path might look like. Okay, if you don't say anything, is Betty going to know how you feel? And then it's really empowering, Kate, what path do you want? And I'm here to support you.
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your help with this, Danielle.
Of course.
And I just have to fix this eye up here because there we go. Okay, now your lobster can see.
This lobster's gotten a lot of love.
Well, thank you everyone for joining us for this conversation about middle schoolers and friendship boundaries. If you're curious to learn more, go ahead and drop us a question in the Hey Miss Becca website, and we'll keep the conversations flowing.
Yeah, sounds good. Happy Halloween, everyone.
Happy Halloween.